without further ado, let's just start. So today's topic is segmentation, which I guess all of the email marketers and marketers would have heard of at some point. I'm sure you deal with it on an everyday basis. Why did we choose segmentation? So before we get into who we are and why we are doing this, let me just talk a little bit about why segmentation and why this is such a crucial aspect of marketing in general and email marketing all the more. So the other day, I received an email, and I'm like, think of me as a user, not a marketer for a second. Next slide, please. So the other day, I got an email from a food company promoting their beef products. And it was wrong on so many levels, but at least two levels. Beef, B-E-E, beef products. It was just wrong to me as a user. I did not like the experience. I just felt, and as a marketer, I thought that I was not rightly targeted, and I just didn't have a good experience. I thought the brand doesn't know me at all. So could I have some answers in chat why you think it would have been, I would have been the wrong target to receive an email on beef products? Consider this like a poll. So I just want to like take a dipstick. Why? Okay, Marco says you're vegan, and yeah, Ali says you've never purchased beef before. Everybody is right. Of course, that's true that I'm a vegan. But of course, I don't expect the company to know that. But I have a history of purchasing vegan products on this site. I don't have a single history of purchasing any meat products. Second thing is I'm based in India, and actually it can also be very culturally insensitive to promote beef products in India this blatantly, which I think if the marketers knew, they wouldn't have probably targeted me for it. So of course, from a customer point of view, I was not the right target, and I just ignored the email. I didn't really do anything about it, but I ignored the email, and I probably had a bad experience with the brand. I may not consider them in the future, in the near future at least. But from a store point of view, this was an email wasted to somebody who was totally not their target. So this is why segmentation is so important. And our team after this part is going to talk about what is segmentation, how actually to do it, and how marketers can avoid such situations in the future, and a lot more. I mean, geography, culture is just one aspect of it, but there is so much more to segmentation. So welcome everybody. Next 40 or 50 minutes are going to be dedicated to all about segmentation. And before we go ahead, let me just quickly introduce you all to who we are. We are Hustler Marketing. We are an e-commerce only retention marketing agency, and we call ourselves retention marketing agency because we are not only into email anymore. We're doing SMS, we're doing many other owned messaging channels marketing, but we are predominantly into email marketing, and we help e-commerce brands drive revenue from email and SMS using automated messages and regular campaigns. Right now we have around 80 stores on retainer, but we worked with 300 plus stores in setting up their automated messages. We have 80 plus employees from all over the world. Some of them are on the webinar right now. And just in last year, we drove over 65 million in email revenue for our brands. So with that said, let me just introduce you to today's panel. We have a very exciting panel today. I'm especially excited because other than our team of account managers and strategists at various levels of experience in email marketing like Susanna, Marco, Belen, and Matteo, we also have somebody very special, which is Ali from Klaviyo, who is the most expert, who's not only a Klaviyo expert, but she knows a ton about email marketing in general, and she's gonna bring a lot of insights to the table, literally. So I'm just gonna pass on the presentation to the amazing panel after this, and please stay on till the end because we will have a chance to have some Q&A. There would be an offer at the end, but trust me, this next 45 minutes could be a game changer for your store. So without further ado, let me just pass on the stage to Susanna, who's head of account managers at Hustler Marketing, and she kicks our email marketing. So Susanna, all yours.
Thank you, Monica. Welcome everybody again. And so I'll just get you started with a little bit of an introduction to segmentation. It's not going to be too difficult to follow, but it's just for those who maybe are just getting started with segmentation, still not sure what the possibilities are or how to use it in their email marketing. So if we get started with the first slide, let's say you have absolutely no idea what segmentation means. You Google it and this is what comes up on your browser. Segmentation is the process of dividing a company's target market into groups of potential customers with similar needs and behaviors. So basically, in short, that means you're categorizing the people that you're trying to target in order to get, more loyalty and of course, more conversions. There are 4 big categories of segmentation in marketing. There's a lot more that you can go in depth with, but in general, you would look at demographics, so age and age range and gender. You have psychographic, which is like a difficult word, but basically it means all sorts of interests, values, culture, just like Monica mentioned about, being vegan and being targeted with beef products. Behavioral, which means based on a certain action that you've done, maybe on a website, if you added things to your cart or clicked on something, then that would be a behavioral segmentation. And then geographic, which is very self-explanatory, so location-based. And like I say, you could go a lot more in depth, but these are the main ones, and you can also mix and match and create a perfect combo depending on who you want to target. So what does that look like in email marketing particularly? We have demographic segmentation. So here I chose an example. Not so long ago, we had International Women's Day. Of course, International Women's Day emails could be sent to the whole of your audience in celebration of women, but here particularly this client wanted to promote products that are for a female audience, so female clothing. And so therefore we felt like it would be good to target the female audience with a special discount to celebrate them. The psychographic segmentation instead, like I say, is based on interests and values and beliefs, but in this case, it could also be something that they like more. So we are targeting the people who have already liked this kind of sweater, and we're trying to just, show them something that looks similar to that. You could go a little bit more in depth. For example, let's say if you are selling symbolic jewelry or maybe graphic t-shirts with certain symbolic messages, then you might want to target the right people with those. I know some graphic t-shirt shops have like some political stance or whatever, so that's something you can keep in mind, that you're not sending the wrong political message to the wrong audience as well. Next, we have behavioral segmentation, which is, I think, probably the most basic one, and it's really useful on automations as well. We use it a lot, of course, in Klaviyo, but if you have another email marketing platform, I'm sure you've heard before about, checkout abandonment flows, or adding things to your cart, browsing a particular product. But that can also apply to like clicking on particular links or particular call to action buttons, which then you can gather data from. So why would they click here as opposed to there, and just target based on the data from their behavior. The geographic segmentation, like I say, it's location based. So if you have, let's say, a brand that is selling all over the world and has different markets, but you're not releasing the same products everywhere, or maybe you're opening even a physical branch, then it's important that you're targeting the right people that are interested in that. So if I live, let's say, in Italy, I don't want to receive an email about a new shop opening in Germany, because that would be a few hours away for me. So I think that's something to keep in mind if you have a big list with many people from different countries, to just know what to send them and send them content that applies to them. So to sum up a little bit of the benefits of segmentation, of course, segmentation is really a no-brainer. I don't see why anybody wouldn't do it. There's hardly any cons that come with it, but the main benefits are that, of course, you're sending more relevant content to your audience. You want to receive emails, particularly here, we're talking about emails that you want to read and they are enjoyable to you, that they're talking about something you actually care about. That will also help you decrease or avoid completely spam complaints and decrease your unsubscribe rate. So if I receive an email that with the content that I engage with, that I like, then I'm not going to mark this store as spam and I'm not going to unsubscribe. I'll continue to see it and I'll build that loyalty. You get to learn more about the profiles. I think this is something that we tend to forget. It's not just about targeted segmentations, so targeting with certain particular content, but it's also receiving that information back. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? What do they like? The majority of our audience likes this particular tone when we write emails, as opposed to this other one, or these pictures as opposed to these other ones. And of course, if we talk about revenue, we can target potential buyers more appropriately. So that applies to both first-time buyers and returning buyers. So you're just trying to understand exactly what makes them do that conversion and place that order by looking at the emails that you're sending out. So when did they place the order? What did they buy? And so on, and understand how you can target the next potential buyers based on the data you collected. Drive conversions and increase your email marketing ROI. This is, again, no-brainer. You want to make more money. That's probably why you have your business running. And so by having all of this data and sending content that applies to your audience correctly, that is suitable to them, then you will end up making a little bit more money. And there's a lot of money left on the table if you do not do segmentation. Now, one important thing to keep in mind is there is one cons, which is segmentation is beneficial if you do it right. If you over segment, so you go way too deep into it, and maybe you target smaller groups of people, then you might spend a lot of time trying to study just a few profiles and getting little rewards. So I think it's important to find a good balance where you're not targeting the full list with one angle only, but you're also not targeting two small groups with specific, very, very specific angles, because it might not work out very well. Now, to get started, I think Marco will explain to you some of the ways to apply it in email marketing. He'll show you some of the basics and some of the advanced, just in case you haven't done it before. So I'll just leave the word to him. And that is all from my side.
Thank you, Susanna.
Of course.
Hey, everyone. So yeah, my name is Marco. I'm working here for 3 years and a half, working with 15 different brands at least, and in 6 different niches. So I had a lot of chances to test out different segments. Yeah, we can go to the next slide. And I would like to start with basic segmentation first. So the most easy way to segment profiles is based on their behavior of purchase, or so if they have bought in the past or they haven't bought. And here you need to be like, for all the segments that I'm going to mention, is like, you need to keep in mind that content should be relevant and adapted to the segment we are sending to. So by this, I mean that, for example, with buyers and non-buyers, you can have a 20% off sale, but those who haven't bought yet, they will probably need more of like convincing to buy from you, more reasons. This would be like unique selling points, user-generated content, reviews before, after, maybe even point out the return policy, and so on and so on. When it comes to the basic next segment would be like dividing your subscribers into openers and clickers. So here you want to see who are those who are just opening. They are basically less engaged, and those who are clicking are more engaged because they are already like so interested that they would want to go and visit your products on your website. And based on the source of the engagement, you can divide the profiles, those who are engaging with email and those who are being engaged on the website. Yeah, how is this relevant for you? Well, if I'm having a good sale and I'm going to be confident that there is going to be more likely to generate more revenue from the engaged on the website segment than from those who are engaging with email. This means that if they're just opening and reading emails, but not clicking, or to say visiting your website, they are far less likely to convert. And that's why it's also important that you are aware who are those who are maybe just like reading and engaging just with email, but also those who are visiting the website and going all the further steps. Next, I will talk about a bit more about the advanced segmentation. And here I was having in mind only like the campaigns. I wasn't thinking about the flows. For example, what Susanna was also mentioning, a bit about flows like behavior, trigger. These are all just segments for the campaigns. But of course, you can find always a creative way to create the flows for those who are also highly engaged. For example, I have separated here into 3 different slides based on how much time you should spend for each of the segments. And just so that you know, the names that are mentioned here, these are picked up from the Klaviyo website, so that it's for everyone who's here, easier to find them. But within our Hustler team, we might also use some different name for the same segment. Let me start with the most important segment. So this would be high rollers, brand enthusiasts, potential high rollers, potential brand enthusiasts, nearly theirs, and waiting for wow. So just to give you a bit of more insight, what the high rollers would be, for example, placed at least 3 orders in the last 180 days, and the revenue is at least 90 overall time. For the brand enthusiasts, it would be placed an order is less than 3 and in the last 180 days, and the revenue is basically it would be 30 overall time, at least 30 overall time. One thing that is really important here is that all these numbers that I mentioned here, 3, 180, and 90, this need to come from you as a owner. Because, for example, if I'm selling jewelry or if I'm selling coffee, this is something totally different. I'm not expecting, if I'm selling coffee, I'm expecting that they're buying more often, in like at least once a month. And if I'm selling jewelry, I'm not expecting that they're going to buy every month, but maybe every 3 months. Also, the revenue, it also comes down to what is your like average order value. So for this, you would want to go like at least a bit above that if you want them to be like to kind of segment them as a high rollers. So and then within this, you just make kind of like calculation, what would be the appropriate amount of purchases that they make, and also like the time delay and the spend. Then the next segments, that would be 20% of your time. This would be lapsed high rollers and lapsed enthusiasts. This is mostly about the win back and re-engagement. Belen will be talking about this later, but I just wanted to kind of bring your attention that you always want to keep engaging the profiles who are not engaged anymore. You want to bring them back so that you can like this behavior that they showed in the past, you want to bring it up again. You want them, like if they were buying a lot in the past, you want to get them back and make them buy again. And for the 5% of your time, you should spend on one-hit wonders and false starts. So basically, you don't want to spend a lot of time here because these are the profiles who haven't showed a lot of engagement. They might just bring you into like spam because they are not engaging with your emails, and this is all giving feedback to the algorithms, and this is also ruining your sender score reputation. One thing that we're also doing within Hustler a lot is basically mailbox deliverability. We are taking care that each mailbox is also having a good performance. So if our let's say our average open rate would be 20%, and our Gmail open rate would be 7, we need to definitely make sure that we push the Gmail open rate also higher. And this is, like I said, this is really important that each mailbox is also equally like important as all of them together. And that would be all from my side for now. And I'm giving the word to Ali.
Thank you so much, Marco. You and Susanna did a great job getting us started on the importance of segmentation and what those segments are that can actually drive success. Thank you, Monica, for the introduction earlier. My name is Ali Guertin, and I am a Senior Partner Success Manager here at Klaviyo. I've had the pleasure of working with Hustler Marketing for almost 3 years now, and they're my great friends. They do amazing work, and I'm really honored to be part of this conversation. What I wanted to focus on from my side is really tying this all together on how this plays into Klaviyo. A little bit biased as I am coming from Klaviyo, but also if you're using another email platform, this is just as valuable. So how far can you actually take your segmentation? I wanted to start out with a quick question and would really love to see some of your answers in the chat here. So Susanna and Marco both touched on some things that segmentation can help drive in terms of your business's success. But what metrics specifically do you think that implementing segmentation can do for your business? Click rate, it's a great one. Don't be shy, what else? Engagement in general and the importance of deliverability, absolutely. Right, lower spam rates, lower pissed off with the brand, which could correlate to unsubscribes. Revenue, yes, you're all touching on the marks of the fact that segmentation isn't tailored to any one metric within your account. Segmentation has so much value because it is going to help your business with email and SMS as a whole. And that's what I wanted to focus on for today. So thank you for the answers. We actually have some numbers that Klaviyo has pulled to show just how important segmentation actually is. So Klaviyo ran a study last year looking at those accounts utilizing Klaviyo that are using segmentation and those that aren't using it too much. And we've found that when using segmentation strategically, there is a 55% increase in revenue per recipient. So I think what's important to note here is segmentation is by no means meaning that you have to send to less people. I see many clients that are sending to their newsletter list or their full audience. And the concern is that if we start segmenting the audiences, is that going to drive down our overall revenue? It's actually the complete opposite. We've heard some examples that if you're tailoring the content to be specific to the interests that these subscribers have already given us, it's going to be the opportunity to grow your revenue even further. So if you're thinking of segmentation by going, well, we want to send to as many people as possible, you still can, but how are you sending them in a way that is going to make them feel valued as a subscriber and a customer? Another study we actually ran for a client specific to Klaviyo is a client utilizing Klaviyo called Tailor Stitch. And they definitely really leaned into segmentation. In 1 month, they created 50 segments. That number may sound a little bit overwhelming, and that's by no means the norm, but it's just showing that if you can find a way to think of your segments that are going to be valuable to your brand, it's really going to help with so many different things. So one thing that they saw when implementing segmentation is they reviewed their unsubscribes month over month from when they didn't use segmentation to when they did. And by utilizing these segments they created, they saw a 60% decrease in unsubscribes. That's huge. Every time we see an unsubscribe, we can think of that as someone that we did not communicate with in the right way. We communicated with them so poorly that they actually don't want to hear from us any further. So doing so with segmentation can ensure that we're keeping as many of your customers engaged and interested in receiving your content. They also saw a really great number in terms of revenue per recipient as well. So from the month they weren't utilizing segmentation to the month that they did, they saw a 60% increase in revenue per recipient. So the people that they were sending to were in fact converting. They were clicking, and with this, it just improves their deliverability. So it's not enough to just look at your open rate and say, okay, we have good deliverability. What are your click rates? What are your spam rates? And what are your unsubscribe rates? Because all of those tell the story of whether or not you're communicating well with your subscribers. So thinking through this, I think Susanna did a great job touching on this, but it's one thing to build the segments out. You may come out of this webinar today and start building out these segments. But what I really want to reiterate from Susanna's earlier point is that this needs to be done so with intent, because there is the risk that if you over segment, you could have the reverse effect. So think to yourself when building these segments, who is this content relevant for? Who would want to hear about this? And who should definitely not hear about this? If any of you are already utilizing Klaviyo, then you may be familiar with how we bill our customers. And the way we bill our customers is based off of how many emails they're sending per month. So if you're just sending an email, multiple campaigns per month to your entire audience, you're not only risking unsubscribes, but you're adding towards your quota for the month. If you're just sending to send, it's getting closer and closer to that capacity for your email monthly sends. And we want to make sure you're utilizing every single one of those individual sends in a way that's actually going to drive those conversions. So what I wanted to do was tie this back to Monica's example she started with. We can go to the next slide here. So let's all think back to Monica's example. If the brand were to pause before they sent this beef campaign and think to themselves, who would definitely not want to hear about this? They could have a conversation, whether amongst themselves or the person that was responsible for sending this campaign, and start thinking through what data they're already collecting by being an email customer. They have profiles, locations. They know they sell meat and they sell vegan products. Have they taken a look at, based on the location, how many people in that location are buying meat versus vegan products? So based on what Monica told us earlier, in Klaviyo, we're able to track exactly what products or categories someone has purchased historically. If they were to just quickly pull a segment on only those profiles that have purchased meat in the past, they would have seen that Monica didn't fall into that segment. It's not only based on if someone's purchased or not, because you may be thinking to yourself, okay, but what about those who haven't purchased yet? Well, where are they located? Klaviyo automatically tracks someone's location based on their IP address. So it doesn't matter whether or not they've purchased. The second that you visit the site, Klaviyo has your location. So if the brand were to pause and say, okay, we know culturally that meat isn't a popular product in this area, maybe we should have excluded that country right from the start. And that's a really easy segment to pull in Klaviyo to say, let's look at profiles that are located in India. And then you could easily take that segment and exclude it from the campaign. So here, my example was, let's look at a segment of someone whose country equals India, and then what someone has done or not done, placed order where category equals meat. If they were to pull this segment ahead of time, they may have seen that a very, very small number of profiles were actually falling into that segment. And they can then ask themselves that business question of, okay, the data shows us that not many people in India are interested in meat. Is this worth using our monthly email sends for? Probably not. So my advice to this brand in the future would be to take that pause before sending a campaign and think, should we be sending to this segment, this audience, if we know they've given us no reason to believe that they're interested in this product? And Monica mentioned she may have just ignored that email, but how easily could she have just unsubscribed because she knew in that moment that this brand wasn't listening to her. They didn't make that connection of the one-to-one loyalty for Monica. And Monica is one person, but I'm sure many, many people received this email and felt the exact same. Take a step back and think, when someone receives this email, how does it actually make them feel? And are we risking losing their loyalty to this brand? So that's just one example, but if we move on to the next example here, both Marco and Susanna touched on the location-based segments and how easily you can pull this into Klaviyo, but there's so many different ways to think about this. I wanted to discuss one example that I actually implemented for one of my clients that I'm working with. They came to me and they mentioned that they only had winter jackets on sale. They sell tons of clothes. They sell summer clothes. They sell warm weather clothes. They sell cold weather clothes, but only the winter jackets were on sale. So if we think back to my example that you only have so many emails to send per month, should we be utilizing this winter jackets campaign and sending to every single profile? Or should we ask ourselves that strategic question of, who would actually want to hear about winter jackets being on sale. It may sound simple, but this is a way to ensure that your ROI is actually meaningful. Who is this relevant for? So what we did was we thought of those colder climates that they are selling to, and we focused on just that area for this winter jacket sale. This is a segment pulled directly from Klaviyo, but all you have to do is say properties about someone, country equals Canada, or properties about someone, state equals, and we selected a few states within the United States that we know are still in their winter months, the temperatures are cold, and they may want to get their hands on a winter jacket. All we had to do was take that campaign, send to this segment, not worry about any exclusions because we know that this segment's only pulling in those folks in the colder climates. And they can feel confident that unsubscribe rate was super low for this campaign, spam rate was super low, and the conversion was super high because we sent a campaign that was only relevant for the people that were receiving it. Another example I have here is based on the transactional activity that these profiles have taken. So this is another example I ran through with the brands. If any of you are familiar with the NFL teams in the United States, this is a client that sells retail products for all NFL teams. So if you think about that, think about it the same way for football teams in Europe. You know, you're probably loyal to one specific team. And for a client that's selling for every single team and your campaign is focused on one team, what data can we utilize to ensure that we're only sending that campaign to those recipients that have shown interest in that team in the past? So for this client example, they came to me and said, we have a campaign where we're selling items that are only for the New England Patriots, and it's only our female category. So is it worth sending to every other NFL team and another gender? Probably not. Again, let's think of our campaigns in a way that's going to be most useful for the recipients. So all we did here was we looked at placed order where the brand did equal Patriots. And Klaviyo has a great feature with predictive gender based on their first name, what they've looked at on your site, and what they've ordered. And we have an algorithm in place to make an assumption on their gender. So everyone that received this campaign was because they've purchased from Patriots gear in the past, and they're likely a female. In this way, again, we saw a super low unsubscribe rate and the conversion was super, super high. One thing I wanted to call out is that custom properties are something that many Klaviyo clients are utilizing. If you have a sign up form where you're asking someone their favorite color, what they're most interested in your brand, that's all data that you can then begin utilizing within your segmentation. It's a very poor customer experience to be asked about your preferences only to not be heard after they're asked for. So if I tell a brand that I'm only interested in blue color and I start receiving campaigns that are only focused on pink, I'm thinking to myself, why did they even bother asking that? They're asking for my feedback, but then they're not actually taking the time to cater towards my interests. Just another way that that unsubscribe rate is going to go up. So not only should you be asking for additional interest from your subscribers, but you have to act on it. Because I'm, yes, an email marketer, but I'm also a consumer. And I expect that if a brand's taking the time to ask me my personal preferences, that they're actually going to then send it away that's meaningful to me. So lastly, on my end, Klaviyo is really, really great because it is not just a place to store your email and your SMS campaigns. We have integrations with so many different third-party platforms that utilize housing all of your data in one place. So these are just a few examples of ways that you could be integrating with third-party platforms. But if any of you on the line have your own brand, I'm sure you've started to think of ways of what does a loyalty program look like? Are we collecting reviews? Is it a subscription product? Are we focusing on our shipping turnaround times? Are we utilizing quizzes? Do you have a help desk integration for your customer service experience? If you answered yes to any of these questions, that is all data that you can be utilizing within segmentation. So if you're collecting reviews, are you sending a follow-up to answer towards whether it was a negative or positive review? You can easily do so within a Klaviyo automation, have a split with a segment based on positive reviews or negative reviews. And right there, you have an automated way to tailor the experience for the subscriber based on the feedback they actually gave you. Same thing for quizzes. I see so much success with quizzes on site to incentivize engagement. But once they give you those quiz answers, how are you actually utilizing it within your segmentation? Really just trying to paint the picture here that these are all additional ways to be pulling in custom properties within Klaviyo. If you're utilizing any of these integrations or another integration that's similar, it's all just additional data that you have at the profile level. You should be using it. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mateo so he can walk us through exactly how to pull these segments within Klaviyo. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Ali. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Mateo. I'm an account manager here at Hustler Marketing for almost a year. And I'm super excited to talk about basically how to create a segment and why it is important. So now that we know why segmentation is important, we need to understand how to take advantage of it in the best way possible. In some cases, it's nice to understand your audience's behavior and start analyzing the results to see what's best to do. So check your results from your last campaign. How many people interacted? Did you get a good open rates and click rates? Did you send to a huge list? How did it go? Brief a campaign with all of your conclusions. Start looking what could be an important data, product, or even a promotion that your audience might like and would like to see, or what do you want them to see? Of course, depending on the strategy. Analyze campaign. Once you're done with the briefing and defining your strategy, check it again. Why are you creating this campaign? Why people should get this campaign? And most important, is your segment already created or included to send in this campaign? That's the next step, defining your audience. Create your segment based on your needs. If this campaign is only meant to be sent to some people, then you need to take some actions and define that audience. Choose wisely and include and exclude some other segments, depending on the strategy that you want to implement. Now, Klaviyo includes these metrics for you out of the box, so you don't need to worry about pulling anything additional. Klaviyo makes it as easy as possible to track your subscribers' performances and understand who's most valuable to your brand. You also will notice some e-commerce metrics here pulled into these segments that Marco reviewed. Great news. Klaviyo has many one-click interactions with Shopify, Ecommerce, WooCommerce, etc. Once you integrate with your e-commerce platform, Klaviyo is pulling in all of those details, and you can utilize your subscribers' purchase history to take it much further. In our next slide, we can see that segmentation isn't only important when focusing on engaged users. Segmentation is a huge part of improving deliverability and ensuring your sender's reputation in a good place. Look at this example here. The customer looked at the recent campaign and went to an advanced report within Klaviyo. This report shows us that while most domains are performing well, the open rate for Gmail is super concerning. How can segmentation help? Basically, in our next slide, we can see that we reviewed an advanced report pulled from a specific campaign in Klaviyo. That report showed us that Gmail open rates are significantly lower than in other domains. Utilizing advanced segmentation to focus on the engagement of the Gmail domain specifically can help us reward that audience and ensure that we're landing in the inbox of Gmail users. That's why, as you can see, we are adding people who open the email, click the email, were active on site, view products, place orders, and most important, the gmail.com domain, or of course, the other domain that you want to focus on. This is a great practice for you so you can get better results in terms of open rates and click rates, and of course, to get a better and more interested audience. Here's another example of inclusive segmentation, but Ali reviewed everything with us earlier. That is super easy and valuable to identify specific locations with Klaviyo. So Klaviyo automatically tracks the location of your subscribers once they are active on site. Klaviyo tracks their IP address, so we have their location from their first engagement with your site. When you're ready to build a location segment, you don't have to worry about whether or not you've asked for that subscriber's location. Klaviyo already has it. So in this case, basically what it says, your store maybe has the option to sell to different countries around the world. Maybe you want to send a specific campaign only for people from the US or the UK. Here's how you can do that. You only have to include the based on location segment and exclude all of the people who are no longer interested in receiving emails or not interested in the brand anymore. And that's it. Of course, you're not going to be having any more damage into your store reputation and their deliverability. So now I'm going to be handing out to my colleague, Belen, which is going to be talking about the re-engagement and win-back segments. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mateo. Hey, everyone. I'm Belen. I'm an account manager and content writer here at Hustler Marketing. And I'm going to share with you some tips about the re-engagement and win-back segments for campaigns. So when you're sending out an email campaign, you need to consider who is this content relevant for and may want to hear about this. This is always relevant, but even more when you're trying to win back old customers or re-engage old leads. And why should you do that? Well, because it is five times more expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to retain existing customers and encourage repeat orders. So with that in mind, let's talk about winback. A winback segment will include profiles that have subscribed to your list, have placed at least one order in the past, but haven't purchased in a considerable amount of time. This time frame will depend on the product you're offering. If you sell coffee or supplements, your customers will probably need a refill each month. In that case, you could consider them as win-back opportunities after 90 days or more of no purchases. But if you sell personalized jewelry, people may buy from you twice or thrice a year. So the number could go up to 180 days or more with no purchases. On the other hand, a re-engagement segment will include profiles that have been receiving emails from you, have subscribed to your list, but haven't engaged with your emails after a certain time frame or after receiving a certain number of emails. Knowing the exact amount of time after which you can consider a lead or a customer unengaged can be hard. So just as a reference, you can generally consider a customer inactive after 6 months of them not engaging with your brand through email or through your website. But it's different for everyone. It all depends on the product you sell, their seasonality, the number of emails you send per month, and of course, your audience. As we can see, these are segments that include people that have already shown interest in your brand. And so this is important. It's important to not miss an opportunity to grab their attention again. Let's talk about the ways in which you can do so through email campaigns. If you have great deliverability, you can have a general approach. That is to say, you could add your win-back and re-engagement segments to a huge sale you're planning on sending out to your regular engaged segments. However, because you're sending to unengaged subscribers, you'll want to be careful here. If you oversend, you risk hurting your sender's reputation, especially if recipients unsubscribe or mark your message as spam. Now, if you want to avoid deliverability issues, you can take a safer and more specific approach. You could create a win-back or re-engagement segment based on product preference. For example, let's say you sell shampoos and you're launching a new shampoo for the curly hair collection. You can create a win-back segment, but specify that their past purchase included a product from that collection. And a re-engagement segment with people that have browsed multiple products from that collection. These will be smaller segments than the general win-back segment or engagement segments, but the message will be more relevant for them and you will avoid high spam rates or high unsubscribe rates. Now, maybe you have seasonal shoppers. So let's say the holidays are coming up and you sell apparel. Let's try to win back people who bought clothing from you last year. Maybe this year they will be interested too, and you can even show them how good the new arrivals match with the previous year's best sellers. The email that you see here was sent out from a baby apparel brand to grandparents, aunts, uncles, and other gift givers that made a purchase the previous year during the holiday season. This was specifically targeted to them instead of parents because this brand's audience is largely conformed by family members and gift givers. It was possible for us to do this segmentation because the store is constantly gathering this information, as Ali mentioned before, with custom properties, asking the audience if they are grandparents, aunts, if they are buying for newborns or babies. This is information that allows us to do this type of segmentation. So there are many properties and behaviors in which you can base your win-back and engagement segments. So basically, each time you send a campaign, think about maybe there's a segment of win-back and engagement opportunities that could be interested in that topic, in that launch, and you could send the email to them apart from your regularly engaged segments.
Okay, thanks, Belen. To sum it up, when you sell to everybody, you sell to nobody at all. This is so true in marketing and especially in email marketing. So you saw how segmentation is super important on the technical side to improve deliverability, SAM score, and conversion rates. It is better for the customer experience, of course, if you tie back to my personal example and so many others. And of course, it helps you, get better brand experience, better click rates, open rates, and therefore higher revenue. So segmentation is only for the win. It can only help. And of course, not all segmentation is either too obvious or too easy. I mean, basic segments, I think most marketers are able to do, but it takes a bit of insight, both on a technical basis, on a marketing basis, and on a cultural, especially of a culture and geography and demographics, to be able to do segmentation right. And so for that, if all of you here are, some of you are e-commerce store owners or marketers, and you're looking for additional help in doing in setting up your segments, then we at Hustler Marketing will be very happy to set them up for you. Ali from Plavio also will love to help join up, collaborate with us in helping you set up those segments. So do give us a call. And we would love to have some of you introduce yourself, some e-commerce stores here. If you could just let us know what is your store. Do you have segments currently in place, or where are you in your segmentation journey? And coming to the offer now, Bell, next slide, please. Just for this, just for the attendees, e-commerce store owners and marketers of this webinar, we have a special offer. For a very limited time, we're going to give you 50% off on email automated setup and 50% off for the first 2 months of campaigns. And note, it's the campaigns that the segmentation is going to be even more useful for you. So we'd love to help you get started, or even if you have started, we'll take it to the next level. So do keep this in mind. And having said that, I just want to thank all the speakers. They did such a good job, and we are happy to receive any questions from you, be it segmentation related or any other email marketing questions you may have, but don't get the chance to ask them. So yeah, please go ahead and let's make this a productive one.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Of course, Susanna, please go ahead.
I have a question for Ali about IP and location. So does it change every time? Is it based on the most recent action or the most recent time they were active on website? Because, for example, if I'm using a VPN right now, then it might say I am completely a different country, and then maybe tomorrow I'll turn off my VPN. Will that be updated?
That's a great question. So the way that Klaviyo tracks profiles that we all touched on a bit is that if I have never been on site before and I go visit your site today, we're going to cookie that profile based on the active on-site metric with their IP address. And to your point, you have your IP address the first time that you're active on site, and it's going to remain that IP address until you place an order. We do feel strongly that the placed order metric is going to be most accurate because of your shipping address. Yeah. So the second we do have that placed order, we're going to update the IP address with your exact street address, zip code, area code, country, region, etc., and use that moving forward. That being said, there is some room for discrepancy. Say you visit a site for the first time when you're on vacation, that is always a risk. And that's why we will revert back to that placed order metric or the started checkout metric as soon as an address is added.
Okay. So don't go on vacation and turn off your VPNs.
Exactly.
If you want good emails in your inbox.
And also don't make a purchase for someone else in different countries.
Don't buy gifts.
I have a question. Okay, we'll take it from PG. I can go later. PG says, can I have your full name, PG? Is it, how do you calculate ROI for the customer's campaigns, average agency costs? Okay, sure, we can take PG's question. So ROI is usually calculated as Just anybody, the account managers want to take a stab at this question?
I can speak to this.
Okay, Ali, go ahead.
There's a few different ways that we would be considering ROI here. So if you think of how much you're paying for your email account per month or by year, we can then break down the cost of each individual email send. So how much does it actually cost to send to a profile? And that's why it's so important to remember that if you're just sending to your full list with no direction towards the content that they're interested in, your ROI is probably going to be lower than when you start to calculate those targeted sends. So the way that we would do this is look at how much money the campaign actually made from the segment you were sending to, look at how much you're paying per month, and then we would look at the audience size and do a simple equation of how many people we sent to versus how much money we made, and we would calculate the ROI that way. We also look at monthly ROI a lot. So we'll look at how much money that campaign made, or sorry, that account made in any given month versus what they paid. And we do say at Klaviyo that a healthy ROI is around 65 times. So the clients that are utilizing segmentation hit that 65 times for their monthly ROI, a lot higher than those that are just sending to their full list.
Just to add to that, so this is only if you sign up PG for Klaviyo and decide to do your email marketing on your own. At Hustler, we also would add the cost of the service. So we would, of course, include that into the formula. So the agency costs together with the Klaviyo costs.
Can we have one e-commerce store representative introduce yourselves, if that's okay? I see quite a lot of you in the end. Megan, PG, Marco, Farzana, Ared, Ryan, Honey, Veronica, anybody? We would love to have like a couple of you introduce yourselves. Tell us what you represent. Anyone? Don't be shy, it's all right. We're okay. Okay, Megan, good to hear from you. Marketing lead from Asmar Equestrian. Okay, and so do you sell equestrian related products, or do you have in school or something? Okay, apparel, great. I had no idea this was a thing, equestrian apparel. That sounds interesting. Could you please link your website's address here in the chat? Yep. PG, what I meant was something like, what do you do? Do you work for an e-commerce store? And if you'd like to share, how's your current segmentation journey going? Do you have lots of segmentation, no segments? Do you need help with anything email marketing related? Okay, thanks, Megan. I'll check it out.
I would have a question for the marketers here who have joined the webinar, and it can be just a quick yes no. The question would be, are you aware of Klaviyo predictive analytics? So are you aware that with Klaviyo predictive analytics you can also create certain segments, which is basically Klaviyo helping with this feature? So just for me to kind of know, like, how many of you are aware by answering yes, and how many haven't? Yeah. Thanks, Megan, for answering.
I want to make sure we don't miss Neely's question as well.
Yes.
Do you want to throw that in the chat?
Yeah, I have a question. It's more related to, well, you said that, and we know that using segmentation hits clients better, but for example, my client just want to reach out as many possible people that he can reach. And instead of earning new customers or retaining them, we are losing them because we send like 25 campaigns per month, and it's a lot. And if we hit that amount of clients, we are going to lose them because we are like increasing the unsubscribe rate. So how do you can like create a strategy to convince him? Because we always say to him, like, maybe we should reduce the campaigns and we should reduce segments and everything, but he like never understands that. And that's like a really bad point for the store. So what should you do, or what like advice will you give me?
I think that's a really great point that comes up pretty frequently, is that when you're sending to your full audience, the client does see this revenue number and they're thinking, okay, this is success. We're seeing the revenue that we want to see. But to your point, there's also a lot of unengagement and unsubscribes coming from that. So something that I think works really well is to actually build a disengaged segment from that audience that you've been sending to basically say, we have sent at least 5 campaigns to this profile. They haven't been active on site. They haven't placed an order. They haven't opened. They haven't clicked. And it's typically a pretty large chunk. So showing that amount to the profile, saying, look, we've taken the opportunity to send them multiple campaigns. The number can be higher than 5. You could bump it up to 10. If you're sending 25 campaigns per month, you can very easily show, look how many opportunities we've given to this profile to engage. And we're losing money by investing in these profiles. So if you were to suppress those profiles, not only would your ROI go up, but the revenue would stay consistent because those profiles weren't purchasing anyways. And something I often hear is, well, what if they just woke up one day and then decided to buy? What if we suppress them right before they were about to buy again? Well, the data tells a pretty good story. We've given them a really great opportunity by sending them those 10 to 25 campaigns. What are you doing differently in that next campaign that's going to move the needle? And it sounds like right now, they're not doing much to make those campaigns that different. So I think the big opportunity here is to pull a segment showing that, yes, we understand that these people were at one point signing up, but they're not interested. Why are we investing in them if they're not investing back in us? And based on how large that number is, the data tells a pretty good story.
Great, thank you.
PG, is this question about the revenue per recipient? What's a healthy revenue per recipient number for each email?
Yeah, PG, you can also turn your microphone on and just also speak to us in case that's faster.
So one really easy way to pull revenue per recipient is to look at the overall revenue from the campaign and divide it by the number of recipients for that campaign. Klaviyo actually automatically generates the revenue per recipient for you, so you don't have to do any additional steps. But one thing I will say is that we definitely have benchmarks based on what you should be seeing. So I will send that document over so you can get an understanding of evaluating your own performance.
All right, we are in the last few minutes of the webinar. If anybody has any question for Ali or one of us, please shoot. You can even put them in the chat. Meanwhile, you can go over to our website, www.hustlermarketing.com, and there's tons of resources there, case studies, a lot of email marketing content, so you can check those out as well. Alternatively, if you want to know where you stand with your email marketing, we also offer audits. So one of our account managers can basically go through your account with a fine-tooth comb and just see what you're doing right, what you're not doing right, and we can take it from there. So yeah, any e-commerce stores here, you can make use of all this knowledge. And of course, Ali and any of us would be happy to chat also. If you'd like to email us, you can do that. Any more questions? Yeah, that's Ali's, and I'm just gonna put my email there. I'll make sure that it reaches the right people, even though I may not be the right person. Thanks, Ali, for all your support today.
This was awesome. I'm really glad that I was part of this, and I hope coming out of it, you all
Yeah.
feel a bit more confident on the importance of segmentation. But Hustler is one of our best partners in terms of actually speaking to the right audiences. So take full advantage of this awesome offer. It doesn't come around much. And if you're not already on Klaviyo, I'm happy to speak to the benefits of Klaviyo, how we can drive success for your business as well. I think we got a rock star team between Klaviyo and Hustler Marketing.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ali. And yes, there is a reason why, Klaviyo is the ESP that we work the most with. It's not the only platform, but I think 95% of our clients are with Klaviyo, and for a good reason. I think when it comes to segmentation, at least, they have the best possible inbuilt capacity. But having said that, do keep in mind that everything that we shared today applies mostly to most of other platforms and email marketing in general, and not to platform specific. So thank you so much to all the speakers, Susanna, Marco, Belen, and Matteo. I know it was a short presentation, but we've been working on it for so long, and we're so happy that we were able to put it out for all the participants here. We are very sorry about the technical glitches in the beginning, but I think we did okay in the end. So yes, do check it out and let us know. Go to our website, or you can just contact any of us on email, and we're happy to also get on a call with you if needed. Thank you so much, and we'll be sending you a short email after the webinar at some point. Please do reply to that with your thoughts on the webinar, and we'll also send a recording whenever it's available to all the attendees of the event. And yes, to remind you, if anybody from the webinar wants to avail our offer, is 50% off on flow setup, and 2 months of campaigns 50% off again. We're already quite reasonably priced, and our 50% off on that is just a steal. So yeah, and thank you so much for attending. You have a great long weekend ahead, and thank you so much, Ali. I think we couldn't have done it without you. You just helped put it all together so well. So thank you so much, everyone. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep this on for another 2 minutes in case we have some last minute questions or discussions, but then we're gonna auto close this in 2-3 minutes. To anybody who joined in the middle or towards the end, because I see some people were able to join only towards the end. Don't worry, we recorded the session. We will have this recording put up on our YouTube channel very soon, so we'll send you that. In the meantime, feel free to contact us on the emails given in the chat. And yes, hopefully we'll do another version, another topic very soon. So hope to see everyone from this panel. All right, thanks everyone. I'm just going to end this chat now. Thank you, everyone. See you. Have a great day ahead.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Have a great day.
Marco, Belen, Matthew, can you all stay back? We'll just have a.
Oh, I just wanted to. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Hey, Priscilla, are you, sorry that you joined just towards the end. Hey, PG.
Yeah, how does it work for the other webinars?
Sorry?
How does it work to attend the other webinar? Do we have different links, or I'm trying to understand?
No, this is the webinar link. This is the main webinar link. We had scheduled it on AirMeet before, but then we ran into some technical snags. So we moved to Zoom. So this is the right webinar link, but unfortunately you joined right towards the end.